Everyone who has millions started from zero, from this to that, from nothing to everything. As a divine healer, let me show you the blueprint to heal your deepest wounds, step into your destiny, and become the happiest person you know. My name is Steph Mahony, and welcome to your Million Dollar Life podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Million Dollar Life podcast. My name is Steph Mahony, and I welcome you into this beautiful community where we talk about healing, transformation, and stepping into your higher purpose. If you're new to this community, welcome. If this is something that resonates with you, I welcome you to share, like, subscribe so that we can join forces and bring more light and healing into this world. With me today is a beautiful soul who is a beacon of light and, in my eyes, the icon of what transformation truly is. She has grown up with beautiful parents who fiercely loved her and protected her, however, had their own struggles, their own darkness, and their own pain. So unknowingly, she was in this place of having parents drinking and doing drugs and not realizing what the consequences were in her life until it eventually manifested and seeped in. And this is the place where she was able to take this pain that she experienced as an adult and supernaturally transform it with the help of divinity. So today we're going to invite Lacy Gress into this amazing podcast where she can talk about her life story, where we dive into what miracles actually look like, how it's possible to step into your highest purpose regardless of how you started off, and the tools that you can use to self-heal your own body and life, just as Lacy did. So Lacy, welcome to this podcast. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on, Steph. I am so excited to share and to just be here and be with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. So, Lacy, you have such an incredible story. And I always say it's, turning your pain into purpose, your mess into your message. And this truly is who you have become. So I was wondering if you can lay out the red carpet for us and just share a little bit about what life started out like and how it's transformed for you.
I would love to, and thank you. So I grew up in a small town in Indiana, Odin, Indiana, a little Amish town. I grew up an only child with a half sister, so I was the baby. My mom and dad loved me so fiercely. I grew up with a father who was a musician. He toured, he went to Nashville, he took me with him. I learned so much at such a young age about so many things. But then that's where I also learned the treacherous journey of addiction, right? And how that seeps into the roots of your family and it taints the soil to where you have to rip it out and replant it altogether. That was my childhood. It was a lot of ups and downs. It was a lot of great times. But then you see that seeping into the roots and that drops you down to the rough times, right? But that's where that made me who I am.
Yes.
So I grew up, like I said, with a great set of parents. I feel like that was a miracle for me to have my mom and my dad. And it also was a miracle to see two people with the biggest hearts struggle so much. And that put it into perspective of me because good people struggle too.
Yes.
No matter what. My mom and dad were givers. They were volunteers. They did everything to shine their light out, but they still struggled. And they helped so many people in their struggle. So I want to replicate that and make my parents proud who have passed over and just continue their legacy of loving people, even in the darkest space, and meeting them where they're at, because that's where God's at.
Absolutely. And God loves all of us. And going through struggle and hard times and addiction doesn't make us bad people. It makes us human.
Yeah.
And it allows divinity to come reach us at that place of pain. The moment we're open to change and a desire to live a better pathway, instantly they come in and show you how. They make a pathway for you. And I continue to see this time and time again. But I really love that. And it's so beautiful to see how your parents, who loved you so fiercely, were going through their own struggle, didn't take that toxic part of what they were dealing with and make you see it and make you feel it and make you experience it. And I really feel that that's how your angels and God and Jesus have been really protecting you this whole time so that you can now step into this role of a mother and forge your own trajectory of your new life, being this incredible parent who's present, healthy, happy, and showing a new pathway for your own children and family, right? So, congratulations, girl. Like, that's just so amazing. But what's even more amazing is when we first connected, you shared this story with me because, here you were with this childhood and how you started off. Many people actually go the opposite way. They mimic what they see and they become the person with addiction and they downward spiral that into their own trajectory of life. But as free will, we get to choose, and you made a better choice for you and your family. So talk to us about when you were in this pathway of feeling the consequences of brokenness as a result of everything that was happening, because you did still feel it and you still start to see it, right? Like this is a real thing. And in the place of your brokenness, something really miraculous happened. Can you talk to us about what that looked like?
Yes, I did receive a miracle, and I have to give it all to God because He literally came in at my weakest moment. Um, I guess if we want to do a timeline, we better start at the beginning, right?
For
So
sure.
at 20 years old, I got pregnant and moved home. And then at 21, I took guardianship of my 83-year-old grandma and went to school full time, took QMA classes full time, and had my grandma and my baby full time. And then my grandma passed away. And then my dad got sick and passed away. And my grandma raised me when my mom and dad did get a divorce. My mom was a single mom who worked 2 or 3 jobs. So Granny had me. I was with my grandma. So she was my rock. She's what I call my earth angel. She was the bee's knees. Thank you, Granny. And so when she passed, that was a very dark time for me because that was my person.
Your
And then my
person.
dad, who had just came back into my life from his addiction, from age about 7 to 20, 21, he wasn't there. So he
Mm.
came back in sober and we formed a very strong connection, and he helped me raise my son until he passed. So when my dad passed, after losing my grandma, I felt pretty broken, right? And I felt cheated. I felt like God cheated me out of a relationship with my dad because at that time, I didn't have the perspective shift to think, wow, thank you for that time, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I was very much struggling. I was going to a therapist. I was getting on all these medicines that were making me feel not like me, very down, very dark. And I'm not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one night that I remember. This is the night that it happened, but the anxiety was so bad that I just remember just laying there and thinking, like, how do you even get out of this? How can you feel this boxed in, this energy? What do I do? Like, nothing was helping me, right? All
Yeah.
these things that we're told to do, take the medicine and do this, none of that was working for me.
Yes.
And my background was in medicine. I left college and became a QMA, and I was going for my LPN. I wanted to be an RN. So I understood that side of medicine, but when it wasn't working for me, that's when I realized this is different. This is something way different than what I think. And
Yeah.
I woke up in the middle of the night. It was like 2:33 a.m. and I heard God's voice, and he said, "Lacy, it's time to heal. Put your hands on your heart and take big deep breaths and push energy out your feet." And I did that for 30 minutes, and then I walked outside and laid on the grass. But I didn't know that my nervous system was being rebooted, right? And that laying on the grass was like grounding me and bringing me back with the earth's magnetic pull. I was getting back into alignment, and I didn't even know what that meant. So I woke up the next day and I thought, oh, okay. And
So
side
how did
note,
you feel that next day?
well, I would say I had two emotions, which were relief and nervousness. When you grow up with a spiritual mom and a very religious dad,
Mhm.
where everything is taboo, and then, you're told that this isn't normal, right? That these things are not okay. And then it happens to you, and you got to put yourself in perspective real quick.
Yeah.
So I was very nervous to talk about my experience. So I didn't tell anybody for a very long time, and I just let God lead me um, through hands-on healing, right? So I would just do hands-on healing every night to myself, and
Mm.
then little nuggets would come. I'd learn about a crystal here and there, and it would just pop up, and I would use it. I would say 100% God led me and held my hand the whole time
Yeah.
because my fear of I was brought up thinking that God was a punishing God,
Mhm.
and I was brought up scared. So I thought, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be punished." And I didn't want to tell anybody, so I just would pray to God to lead me in the
Mhm.
right way to where I wouldn't disobey him. But then
Mhm.
through my healing, I learned he just wanted me to heal and he loves me no matter what. And he had so much grace for me, right? I was broken. I
Yeah.
was crying every day for 9 months. I was dealing with my dad's estate on top of having postpartum and dealing with a bunch of addiction in my dad's side of the family with my relatives and being
Mhm.
I quote unquote, I'm sure this will resonate with a lot of you, the black sheep of the family on my mom and dad's side, both sides. So the way that when my grandma died, my mom's side of the family just kind of said, forget you. And when my dad died, my dad's side of the family was like, forget you. And that put me in a spot where all I had was God and my family, right?
Yeah.
So I had to rely on him. And I would say things like, in God I trust, in spirit I trust. God, just show me where to go, help me out. And he would do it every single time. So to do that once and then wake up and feel both ways, I just had to trust and have a lot of faith that I was exactly where I was supposed to be
Yeah.
and that God didn't want me to feel depressed and dark anymore. And that's why he woke me up in the middle of the night and made a statement.
Which is so amazing. And that's the thing, like we come to this world of polarity. We're meant to experience it all.
Yeah,
Happiness, sadness, laughter, crying, right? Like that's the full gamut. But through free will, we get to choose where we want to go back to and stay, right? We can
right.
experience this all, but God wants us to live in abundance. And abundance is happiness, and abundance of
Yes.
love, and abundance of peace. Through free will, we can go down there, but He doesn't want us to stay there. It's not our intention, our life's purpose to stay down there. We're meant to have it all: the love, the happiness, the peace, the joy, the fulfillment. And that is so amazing for you to have that one on one experience to see that, okay, me living this broken, nervous body that's going to have a panic attack and breakdown isn't God's best. It's not God's will for me. And He showed you through power, your own power, how you can self heal, which was amazing. And that's what I really would love the foundation of this conversation to be about today, because I think so many of us are going through really hard times. And we, first of all, don't know that there's anything we can do outside of pharmaceuticals or therapists. And it's not that I'm putting anything down. You have to do what's best for you. You follow the advice of your trusted professional. But what I've learned too is that there's actually another option too. And this is this place of
Yes.
spiritual healing. And because we're all energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one thing to another. Because we're all energy, we can take this tangled mess we're in and neutralize it. And when we get this spiky energy and neutralize it, we're back at the still waters. And that's what Jesus was always talking about. Because when you're at ground zero, zero state, there's so many different ways to say it. That's when you're this abundance to attract miracles in your life. Where needing nothing attracts everything because, like, you are at peace, you know?
I love that you say that because I did attract a miracle, right? Because when you're on your knees
Mm-hmm.
praying to God to bring you relief from your darkness. And
Yes.
you've tried to do all the things that you know to do, and he shows you the other way and says, go the path less traveled. Pave your own trail. I'm with you. Because that's what he did. And then it was like so amazing because I found so much through him. And then when I was ready, they say when the student's ready, the teacher appears.
Yes.
I went to this place in Evansville, Indiana, and I had never been there. I'd never even heard of it. And it was a crystal shop. And I call them Grandma and Grandpa Reiki. They're in their 70s. He opened one of the first meditation studios in Fort Wayne, Indiana at 19 years old. And I met them in their 70s. And I walked in and her name is Cynthia, and I love her so much. And she said, "Is there something you want to talk about?" Because I was just staring at her. Like I just walked in the store and stared at her because I didn't know what to do. I was taught that not to go into places like that.
Yeah.
But that's where I was led. So I just stood there and stared at her, and she was like, "Is there something you need to talk about?" And I was like, "I don't know you, but I feel like I need to tell you what's going on." She
Yeah.
giggled and said, "It's just Reiki. We're teaching a class next weekend. You want to come?" I said, "Okay."
That's amazing.
And they had me in the class. And then the day before my Reiki 2 class, COVID hit. So Spirit found me another way to learn. And I found Reiki masters that are here, that are part of the World Reiki organization. And they took me in and helped me train. So I have what I call Grandma and Grandpa Reiki and Mom and Dad Reiki.
That's amazing. But so today, like you are in this pathway of Reiki master, but you also have a different type of Reiki as well that you've been studying towards. What is that about? What's
So
that
I've
called?
actually kind of came up. I'm doing angelic Reiki, Lightitarian Reiki, which has turned into angelic healing for me. I
Wow.
simply rely on God and the angels during my Reiki session. I pray before, I pray after, I pray during. These gifts we are given come from God. We cannot take credit. We can just take credit for letting our vessel be open, right?
Yes,
We do
100%.
the work to allow the gifts to come through. So
Exactly.
I know going into this, and I know you do too, because
Yeah.
you have this too. We're divinely led to the people we help, and
Yes.
we're there for a reason. So
Mhm.
during my sessions, I always just praise God and the angels because I wouldn't be here without them, right? So that's the healing I'm leaning towards is I just know that everything comes from the light, and that's where I want to stay. So that's
Absolutely.
Lacey's healing.
I love that. So let's talk more about Lacy healing or personal healing for those who want to do this at home. So I know you have 5 techniques that anybody, anywhere in this world can implement into their life today to experience their own healing. Why don't we dive into that? And for those watching, grab a pen, paper, and let's make some notes. And I'm going to include some of this information in the post below so that way you can have it available to you word for word.
Yes. So the first trick that I'd like to share with you is something that
Mhm.
I was taught myself during the beginning of my journey. And this is something that I have used for since 2017, 2018. And love you. Okay, go to your room. So I was in the shower and I realized then that when I shower, my energy shifted.
Mhm.
Right. You get to a point where you find things that cleanse your energy, but you don't really realize what you're doing at the beginning. You just know it's helping.
Yeah.
So I started out with receiving a mantra,
Mhm.
and I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
and you can do this in an Epsom salt bath too. Epsom salt is such a good release. It helps you just get rid of so much energy and it helps
Yeah.
ground you.
It removes the toxins from your body, right?
Yeah.
And I think also from your mind, your soul, and it really cleanses that, which is amazing.
Yes.
So, when you read this mantra before you begin, let's just really form a circle of energy of light. Let's put our hands out to each other like this. and close your eyes if you're listening. And Lacy, why don't you share the words that were given to you from divinity when you're in the shower to say this mantra?
I call in God, the angels and archangels, and the healing powers of water to help cleanse, clear, harmonize, balance, and release all stuck and stagnant energy in my mind, body, spirit, and aura across all time, space, realities. I give thanks to the divine and call in the energies of love, grace, compassion in my mind, body, and spirit. Thank you, God, for this divine healing. So it is.
So it is. That is so beautiful. Thank you.
And a tip, you can even take this a step farther and do it for every chakra. So
Amazing.
you can say the mantra, but then you can say, in my crown chakra, I cleanse, clear, harmonize, balance. And I'll do all 7. And another tip a lot of people don't talk about, our hands and feet have chakras, and it's so good to clear them. So you can even say, I call my hand chakras to be cleared and my feet chakras to be cleared. And don't be alarmed if you feel tingling, everybody.
It's amazing. And here's the thing, it sounds so easy, but that's really what it is. Because we're creators of the universe, first of all, many times we don't know because we don't know to ask for it. But the moment we ask or even command it as co creators of our life, we can call in anything that we want to have on the energetic form. And that's when it manifests into the physical form. So when you're calling upon angels, archangels to do this work, they're not just empty words that you're saying to nobody. You're commanding the highest realms to literally come into your energetic centers, shift, pivot, and align for your highest good at that moment to absorb and receive everything that it is that you need at that moment. So I really think that that's so beautiful. And what I'll do is I'll write this out and put in the blurb of this podcast so that anyone, anywhere can simply copy it, paste it,
Yay!
and include it as their morning mantra or when they're looking to self heal. And I think that that would be such a beautiful way for all of us to get back into this place of energetic alignment, which is really what healing is. And healing feels like peace, it feels like inner clarity, it feels like happiness. And more than happiness, it's joy. And joy is when your inner smile shines brighter than your outer smile, right?
I love that.
So that's really what we're getting back into alignment. That's God's will for us. That's where we're meant to live, where we're meant to be, where we're meant to reside energetically. So when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling unhappy, go take a shower because it does cleanse your aura, it resets you. If you can't remember this when you're in the shower, that's okay. Maybe you do it when you're out of it and you have your sticky note or whatever it is that you write. Perhaps it's a screensaver on your phone, but have this as your spiritual toolbox.
Yes,
And these are your spiritual besties that are going to help you get into alignment. So I love that. Thank you.
you're
So was
welcome.
that number one?
It was, and I'd like to add, there's another, so that's clearing. So let's talk
Mhm.
about grounding that energy in, right?
Yeah.
So in the shower or outside, you can do it anywhere. I always take a big deep breath and I call on Mother Earth to be there as I imagine that thick tree roots come out the soft parts of my feet and sink
Mhm.
into the core center of the earth to untouched energy. And then I imagine that the roots come up my thighs and ground me into Mother. So that way
Mhm.
I'm connected to God, but I'm also grounding energy into the earth. So it's like as above, so below, right? Because
Mhm.
we also need to be mindful that we're warriors for Mother Earth because we're not taking as good of care of her right now. So the
Mhm.
more we love on her and the more we bring her into our energy, the better off we're gonna be. Pick up
Yeah.
your trash, everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
seriously. But honoring Mother Earth,
Mhm.
honoring the grounding energy while you're honoring the highest divine energy is a
Yeah.
beautiful place to be, right?
Yeah. And it's all starts and ends with your intention, right?
Yeah.
And your imagination, when you close your eyes and you're following this pathway that Lacy said, you're like, what am I even doing? And I'm speaking to the people who've never heard of this before, because this might seem a little bit out there. But
For sure.
what you need to know is that we all begin with thought. We are imagination. Whatever happens in your mind is actually even more real than what's happening in this physical world, than the chair that you're sitting on. Our imagination has the ability to create miracles in our life. So when you see this, it is actually happening in the spiritual realm. When you have intentions to bless someone for their highest good, when you have
Yeah.
intentions to bless Mother Gaia for her beautiful wellness and thanksgiving of everything that the world gives to us, that is being felt and it is being manifested. And those pure intentions actually boomerang back to you in your
Yeah.
own life, right? In the secret desires of your heart. So, all of us, this is how all of us are one, you know?
I
It's a
love that you say
constant boomerang. It's constant. So whatever you're putting out there always comes back blessed to you, right?
that. I love that. And that's one of my things I would love to share too. But
Yeah. Okay, let's dive into it. Number 2.
so we're gonna go in order because we just
Yeah.
did the shower cleanse.
Okay, perfect.
Is everybody, you do not have to be a certified anything to do hands-on healing.
Yeah.
Hands-on healing is free. It is something we are divinely guided to do. Our ancestors did it. So don't be intimidated if you don't have the title. Don't
Yeah.
be intimidated if you don't have the name tag. You can just be Lacy from Odin, Indiana, that does hands-on healing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So when I was doing it, I would say hands-on healing on. And I started at my heart because I believe that right now all of our hearts could use some love.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do hands-on healing to myself every night before bed because that was the easiest for me. Like realistically, we got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Hands-on healing in the evening time with an intention to, reset my mind, body, and spirit and energy to have a good day tomorrow. It was as small as that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
So,
Again, and it's your intention. You activate the energy with your intention, which is
yeah.
amazing.
And that's just one of them. And another thing is when you do this stuff, you have to embrace yourself because the light, we are
Mhm.
both, we are duality, and you have to embrace the light and the dark in you. And when you do healing, this stuff comes up, but it's not coming up to hurt you, it's coming up to help you because
Yeah.
there's a version of you that part of you, you saved yourself. You did it out of trauma. You didn't do it out of anything else. So when you go through this journey, grace is a very important energy to bring
It
in because
is.
you will learn so much about yourself.
It's
And you
true.
have to love and accept yourself and embrace who you are, flaws and all.
And that really comes from the place of forgiveness. Like if you're feeling anything guilty in your life, maybe that's a place where you start because it's your higher self looking for that place of forgiveness. And maybe
Yeah.
it's self forgiveness, right? But you have to know that when you lead with a heart perspective and you're always trying your best or you have good intentions and the outcome didn't come out the way you hoped for, or maybe you hurt somebody with the words you said and that wasn't your intention, and life didn't go as you hoped it would be, or how you started life wasn't what you would have put for yourself in this moment, right? But when you can find radical acceptance of accepting everything as it is, because if it has happened in your timeline, means it was meant to. So, what are the lessons in that? And also knowing that you did do everything, you tried your best with what you had, with what you knew, and what was available to you at the time. And like Maya Angelou says, is when you know better, you do better. And that's that place of evolution and growing, right? But you'll know that you're healing when you can look back in your life and things that would really trigger you no longer do. Memories no longer become painful, but they just become a moment that you can talk about. It no longer gives you tears or invokes
Yeah.
sadness. It's just a conversation now. And you're not talking about it over and over again because you've actually healed it and it's now away from you, right? So that's this beautiful place of healing because all of us need it in different areas of our life. And when you can learn to self heal and through these intentions that you're talking about, that's when you're going to see an acceleration in your life, because you're no longer going to be stuck in the wheel of the circle. We're experiencing all of this sadness. You're actually going to neutralize it, heal it, and you can finally begin to rise above and feel this level of abundance that has always been there, but is now open to you because you're energetically aligned.
And you just have to give yourself permission to unshackle your chains.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give yourself permission to live a good life.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
exactly.
do.
And that it's okay. That if you're living a good life, is not something you should feel shameful if the person next door to you is not, or if the world is in a war, or if there's a huge presidential assassination attempted to happen. Like, regardless of what's happening in the world, you can still live an amazing life, regardless. And you're not meant to absorb everybody else's problem. You're meant to just hold your own cross and be a shining light and live a life of happiness. And when you do that, you inspire everybody else around you to do that too. And you give them permission to live happiness, to live a happy life as well. Because that's something we all want. We all desire this. We just don't know that it's available, that's possible, and that we even can, given the mess that sometimes we feel like we're seeing, right?
Right. And when you're in your mess, sometimes it feels like there's no way out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where those baby steps are important. You have to take it one day, and sometimes it's 1 second at a time.
Yes, exactly. It's like on a moment by moment basis. But life and destiny come to us in the form of choices, and we'll always receive only one choice at a time. Even if the choice is, will I allow this to come into my energy or not? And when you know you can really heal and strengthen, the things that would normally bother you, all of a sudden just roll right off of your aura. You no longer absorb it in you, right?
I
It's
love
when we're
that.
unhealed, because there could be 1,000 things that shoot and everything rolls off. But if there's one inner wound that we're not healed from, it's that seeps right in, right into the pain, and then we get ignited again. So
Right.
it's like strengthening that part of us and knowing that we can just shield this off and heal it. When we heal it, we don't have to replay this old version of us anymore. We can now become that 2.0 version.
I love that you say that, though, the old version, right? Because it
Mhm.
really is like your old self that had these things, but we love our old self.
We
Because
do.
my goodness, you look at your old self and you're like, wow, look at you got us here, girl.
Yeah, and you have so much compassion because you know what that person went through and how they still trekked and they still woke up and put one foot in front of another every single day, you know? Like,
We
you
have to
really
be
have so much love for that person. And even the love for darkness, like, we all have darkness within us. It's just in different components, right? And it's not that we're ever going to get rid of it, because we're both darkness and light. It's just one, the light we want to magnify, but the darkness we just want to heal. That's all it is. We're just healing that part of us. And it just helps us to grow even brighter, you know?
There was something that popped in my head when you were talking, and this goes along with intentions. Everybody, you can set the intention to learn lessons gently and easily with clarity and love. You can
Mhm.
ask God to deliver your messages and your lessons in a way that is more up here, right? Where you can see it from that higher perspective and you're not triggered. You can set that intention and get that back into your reality. What's and that was my number 5 tip, is being intentional. So I think you're already on it, Steph. You're already on
Sorry. I don't want
it.
to overstep that at all, but I love what you
No.
said. It's setting that intention right from the beginning. It's amazing.
So that leads me to, when we're doing all this energy work, guys, we got to move our body because energy gets stuck. And one thing that has been a game changer for me is hip openers, yoga hip openers, the pigeon pose, all of these poses, because especially as women, we hold trauma in our hips and in our shoulders, right? Tension and trauma.
Interesting. Interesting.
So
Okay.
doing what I love yin yoga. That's my favorite because it's mental. You hold poses for 2 to 3 minutes. And oh, yeah. It's like you have to tell your body it's okay to be that uncomfortable, but you have massive breakthroughs. But I'm intense like that, so that's what works for
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
holding an uncomfortable pose for 2 to 3 minutes shifts my whole energy and I release chunks of emotions. Now, when you do hip openers, you have to think, where's that? That's our root. Root
Hmm.
emotions will come out
Yeah.
and they're hard. And sometimes I'll be doing yoga and I'm mad and I'm crying and I'm in that
Hmm.
pose and I'm
Hmm.
cussing and it hurts. And then afterwards, I'm like, woo, I did it.
That's
And
amazing.
so I really encourage hip opening yoga to get and release energy that's stored in our bottom three chakras, right? Like our human chakras. Not that you can't move energy from here up, because you can. There's heart opening
Hmm.
yoga. I do that too.
Hmm.
But if you are doing this intense work from the beginning, I just really suggest hip opening things to help clear your root naturally. And that's going to speed up your healing process because you're healing and you're moving the energy and you're replacing the energy in a way that makes sense.
Amazing. I love that. I love that. So we need to get moving, or if you're meditating, at least get into a pose that releases this energy that could be trapped in your body, right?
Yeah,
And set that intention. And maybe
let's
at that time too, they could read the mantra that you gave and just allow that to really be felt in their body, in their cells, in their soul.
And meditation can be anywhere. You can do it while you're walking. You're out by the water and you
Mhm.
want to, get into a meditative state and get there. You can do that. You can do it anywhere. Um, there's no rules for this. There's no rules.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you do it the way it's supposed to be done for you. I think Steph and I both are on the same page as we're here to tell you what we do and you make it yours because you're
100%.
on your journey and we're just here to help and guide and love you.
Yeah,
So you make it yours to what helps you in your best.
absolutely. And there's this saying that when you pray, you're speaking to God. But when you meditate, God is speaking to you. And when I first started this journey, first of all, I thought I could never meditate because I'm like, I can't spend that much time listening and doing nothing, And I lie there and I'm like, such a waste of time. And I never did anything. And what I learned is that you don't need to be lying on a yoga mat for 2 hours with candles around you. You can do the walking meditation just as you described, Lacey. And that's literally how I live my life now. Many times I just turn off my podcast, music. I don't listen to the news. And I'll just wash my dishes in silence, for example. And I get the biggest breakthroughs there. And breakthroughs come in the form of whispers and divine guidance or ideas or higher solutions to things that was not even thinking of at that point, right? And that's how divinity works with you because the more healed you are, they can communicate with you easier because there's not all this spiky energy that's keeping you circulating and thinking about your problems. And now all of a sudden, you've just neutralized and you're just open. And now they can drop hints and solutions and ideas and nudges that inspire you. And that's how you know it's them. It feels so exciting. You're like, oh my gosh. But the trick is that you got to do it like right away, not like 10 seconds from then, because you're going to forget. You got to do it right away because that's what you need to do right now. Because if you say yes, then they're going to open up another opportunity and another one and another one. And that's how you start quantum jumping timelines. That's
And
how
it's
you look like an overnight success because you've just said yes to their promptings. Mhm.
and I want to hit on a golden nugget that you just said, the higher solutions from inspired action. If you
Mhm.
feel inspired, I do this too. When you said that, that made me laugh because I wash my dishes in silence at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You'll get inspired action. God will give
Mhm.
you a nudge and you act on it, and it's a higher solution, a higher thought, and it feels so good.
Yes.
But we want that, right? We want the higher solutions. We want that. We want to be an image of the divine. Not that we're perfect, because we're not. But my state of vibration, I want it to be love. I want to
It's so
shine love all the time. And if that is taking an inspired action baby step at a time, that's what we'll do.
And you know what? On that point too, I couldn't agree more because, we're talking about healing. We're talking about how, our birthright is to experience abundance. And this is what your $1,000,000 life is the highest
Yeah.
timeline of your destiny, experiencing abundance, joy, love, peace. But that vibration staying at this place will never be 100%, 1,000% of the time. That's not possible because we're human beings. We're living in a world of polarity, of light and darkness. We're being tested on our inner strength. We're being tested on our inner wounds. So we're meant to experience it all, right? Like we're not always going to be up here. We're going to shift and we're going to fall on our nose and like experience these emotions all over again. But we're not starting from the bottom. We're starting back up here. And it's this growth of evolution that we're going to, right? And then we can then shine a light, a little flame to show other people who are experiencing what we were once experiencing, that we've overcome, that it is possible to overcome. And then we can be that person to then shine a light and create a pathway for them. And that's why we have to go through things. If we're all perfect, we would never be here. We would never need each other, right?
No, right. And let's talk about, you'll find people like Steph and I, we kind of are battle buddies, we call it. It's like when we fall on our nose, it's one of us is there to cheer each other on and pick each other up. But
Yeah.
God sends those people to you at the right time. So when you're on this path, never forget that people are going to come to you. Some stranger is going to tell you what you need. You're going to get a sign. You're going to receive the love that you need from somebody. It might be from somebody you never expected it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it usually isn't, or at a time that you didn't expect. And you thought, like, God wasn't listening. What the hell? And now you missed out. But then everything actually fell into perfect place, which
Yeah.
is incredible, right? So, and I think that that's a beautiful journey when we can actually talk about this and we're no longer crying. Like, we're just like, yes, I could see it. I see the wisdom. And like, I just want to pinch my cheeks for what I was going through like 10 years ago, knowing that at my future self is actually really happy and doing well. And all the things I was holding on to and worrying about turned out to be okay and even better than I could have ever imagined, and that's true for all of us.
And I want to comment on Steph has worked with me so well on her $1,000,000 Life program. And I can tell you right now that it's a program that shifts your energy chunk by chunk in a way. And you know what I mean? It shifts you chunk by chunk and it takes
Mhm.
you into a space of reflection and in a space of transformation. And then you shift and you do it again. And the astrology that you have in your program is very correct because my astrology report is exactly what I deal with in my life right now.
Mhm.
So I encourage anybody to do that with Steph because whoa, it shifted my life in a time where I needed it right now.
It's
I
amazing.
tried to do it before and then
Mhm.
my mom passed away and I just wasn't there. And Steph said, we'll get back to it. And she held
Yeah,
space for me and helped me heal from that. And then when I was ready, it was right there. So don't also remember if it's meant for you, it'll never pass you. Don't think that you messed up or God's not giving you what you need. Everything that's meant for you will come to you no matter what. God,
absolutely.
anything from God cannot be taken away from you.
It's like the energy's sticky. And I mean that by like, if it's meant for you, the universe will always repattern itself to show you it again and again and again until one day we're actually going to say yes. The only way we can like not receive it is if we only say no or choose not to like take action. But when you know something's meant for you, I truly believe we all have that desire and we will get there. Like the universe is so big, God is everything, right? And you can't miss it. So, whatever is meant for your path to lead you to this place will always be presented to you at a time through a person, through a higher level perspective, something that intrigues you to finally take that chance. And when you are healed, you become more open to taking that chance.
The leap of faith.
It's the leap of faith. And one thing too that I'm being nudged to say is that, we all go through these places. Like you had a downward spiral and you hit rock bottom. I had downward spirals after leaving a toxic relationship, and I hit rock bottom because I had nobody in my life anymore and I didn't know what to do. And divinity showed me that they allow us to. They allow us to hit rock bottom because it's actually divinely sacred. Because when you hit rock bottom, you have nowhere to go but up. And you finally get out of your ego and into your higher mind where you ask for help by surrendering. You're like, I cannot do this anymore. If somebody's there, like, please help me. You finally become open to divine guidance. And they take you at that place when you're raw and ugly and ugly crying and you're a big mess. They take you there, and then all of a sudden they shift you and they start putting you back into alignment. And even though you're not where you're meant to be, you have this peace because you're happy you're no longer where you were. And that's how you know that you're getting back on track. And that's why divinity allows you to fall flat on your face, because sometimes we just won't learn until we do. Because, our ego always wants to be like, no, I got this. I got that. I did that too. I'm like, I got this, and life got worse. Got this, and then it got really, really bad. And, but it's really from this place of experience, because now that we acquire that wisdom, you become unstoppable.
You do. Can we talk about how most of us do meet God at rock bottom?
Yes, please. Let's do
And
it.
because I grew up in religion, I've spoke on that, right? My dad played in the church, music in the church, and my dad also played music in the bar. And there was at one point where I noticed that my dad was being a light in taverns and honky tonks, and he was meeting people at their rock bottom after God met him at his rock bottom. And this changed my whole life when my dad got up on stage and said, I would love to talk to you guys about my Lord and Savior who saved my soul from, his hell. But until then, if you want to talk, come up after the show. Until then, go get a drink and let's rock and roll. And then he played Leonard Skinner. And people came up to him that night in the
No
bar.
way. Stop it. What'd they say?
They just said, thank you for reminding me God loves us. Thank you for showing us that you can heal. And he did. And God met me at my rock bottom, right? Like he didn't meet me when I was happy and he was there, but it was
Mm-hmm.
my rock bottom laying in my bed wondering why I needed to be here anymore is when God met me.
Yes.
My mom passed away. You know this just as well as I do. It was sitting in my house, not able to get out of my house. I hadn't left for weeks when God met me again and said, are you ready to get happy about life again? Let's do it together this time. And that's where I think there has to be a lot of faith in this relationship with God. You have to have faith and trust that he's got you no matter what level you're at.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really a beautiful place to be, because the moment you allow that light in, everything changes. You feel like a warm hug. You feel like you're not alone. You don't understand what's happening, but that's okay. You're not supposed to, because they're leading it. They're setting up opportunities. Opportunities come through people. The right people come through at the right timing. The right solutions come where you become magnetized to it. So it's just like somehow you're walking this dark path, but all of your footsteps are lit up. And that's this place of hope. I really want everybody to feel so deeply that no matter who you are, where you got started, what life looks like at this moment, it is possible to heal and transform your life. It is possible for you to receive divine wisdom. We all have these gifts. And, a lot of the times religion suppresses this. But when you can call upon a higher power and ask them to show you, to guide you, if only for one moment, just
Yeah.
allow a tiny portal of opportunity to come in, because this is where miracles will happen. It can happen and will happen for you. And that one day you're going to be that shining light for somebody else who needs it too.
Steph,
So,
you said a writer downer. We all need to write down that even if you're on a dark path, the steps are lit up right in front of you. That was wonderful and so accurate because it's true. God throws people in your life right when you need it. I have
mhm.
people like that, and I know you do too, that come in your life and give you a little pep in your step, get your back. Got to go
Yeah.
back, Steph, and they come and give it back to you, right? In a
Yeah.
way that you're like, you just lifted my whole spirit. Thank you.
Amen, girl. And that's who you are for me, you know? Like we met each other when we were both at our rock bottoms, and I was so broken and abandoned by everyone I loved. Like somehow I decided to follow my higher path, my North Star, and everyone left me. And I was so sad. And I was like, I couldn't understand. I'm like, I'm trying to do something good in this world. Like, why did everyone go? And you had lost your mom. And like, we both felt such a void in our life. And, you know, when this happens and you feel this abandonment, it's really probably the most painful feeling that you can ever experience because we're all love. And when you feel the void of love, the separation from it, it's treacherous, you
Yeah.
know? So maybe you lost somebody, but you'll always gain someone in return. And you were that someone for me. And I'm going to cry.
I remember the
But
first time that I heard you tell a story. Do you remember when I messaged you and I was like, you're such a storyteller? You had me like, it felt like I was that lady at my school named Miss Wadsworth, and she used to read us stories, and she would put on like costumes. And I just remember when it was story day, that was me. And that was me listening to you tell a story. And I was just on the edge of my seat, like, tell me the rest. Tell me the rest, Steph. I need to know. And I remember messaging you, and like, I just felt so much love from you. Like, I knew that we had never really connected, but the minute that we did, it was like, wow, this was supposed to happen forever.
oh,
This was normal.
forever.
It was
Yeah, 100%. This is definitely like karmic relationship, you know? Lifetime, like soul family relationship, I really should say. But we get each other, we see each other, and I think everybody needs that one person. You know, the whole world. Thank God, not my family, not my husband, but friendships that I thought were real that actually weren't. It was not built on true love, right? It was one sided. So things that are not meant for you in your life will always fall. The tower will fall on that, especially as you raise your vibration. Things that are an illusion, things that are not meant for you, for your highest good, will go, but something will always replace it. The universe cannot be void of energy. So if something leaves, something else will come and replace it. And it might just be one person, but it will fill that void of all of what all those other people were at one point. So if you have struggled with that as well in your heart, I want you to close your eyes and ask divinity to come in and to show you the pathway of healing and how you can shift, transform, and up level your life and attract the people in for your highest good at this moment. So you can find healing, love, peace, and resolution and step the courage to step forward to that next baby step.
love that. And thank you to our hunky husbands, Nick. Thank you for
They are
doing this, right? Like rock solid. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing, like we all have gifts and deficiencies in our life. But thank God, like if you have that solid marriage and solid family unit and it's just solid figures, or maybe you don't have a solid marriage, but you have solid friendships,
Right.
right? Like there's always something there that's holding you, creating that pillar of strength for you. So we always just have to acknowledge it. And the more gratitude we pour in there is the more gratitude we're going to feel in these other places that we feel that void.
And something just popped into my head. Then I'll get on to my next point. But um, there was this struggle that I've had the past couple years of feeling like I poured love into people, but feeling like I
Mhm.
didn't receive it back. And then God humbled me real quick and said, well, what if those are the people you're supposed to pour love into, but you don't know the people who are going to pour love into you yet? Are you questioning me, Lacy?
It's a season, right? Sometimes it's like all about sowing seeds, and then in your season, you're going to start reaping it all, right? It's so true.
Don't ever feel like you're giving too much like that, because you'll receive it back. So don't be scared to be generous.
100% for sure.
Be a
So,
generous lover.
yes. So what's your next one?
Okay, this one's my favorite. So I love, my favorite thing in the world is gardening and plants. That's where I thrive. And this is something that God taught me. It started out with um, rose quartz in my plants, because rose quartz is the energy of love. And
Yeah.
I would send energy to my mom, my sister, my dad, and my cousin Emily and Nick every day through those rose quartz. And then it became, let's get a plant and let's name it after somebody you love, and let's tend it and care for the roots and care for the soil and care for the plant.
Wow.
Let's speak love to our plants. Let's watch them and help them grow. And then it became, well, you love your plants so much. Why don't you just consider that they're a part of you? So when I'm nurturing my garden, literally it fills my cup up. So I will go down to my garden. I have a huge garden, and I talk to my plants and I tell them, thank you. Thank you for your nurturing. Thank you for your love. I talk to my house plants like that. I literally have plants that are for somebody in my life that I nurture and send love to every day. So just because you're not in contact with somebody doesn't mean that you can't love them or have a thing about that, right? So
Mhm.
I've made my passion, which is plants, into a way to return love back. And it also kind of, once you get into this, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm a, what do they call it? When people give you dead things to try to revive.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's the death to rebirth, but
Yeah,
yes.
people bring me their dead plants now all the time and ask me to bring them back to life. I've
Well,
became the rehab to home. I'm a rehab to home.
it's amazing.
So don't, it's okay to be weird, right? It's okay to have
Yeah.
your own thing. Like,
Yeah.
I talk to my plants. They are people, like they are sentient beings to me. I send love.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And energetically, they're telepathic. The whole universe is telepathic. Really, we are. We're just not really open to it. But when you send love, that intention, that's received, and it takes it as a command, and it does what you do. So if you're giving love to it, it's going to receive it, and it's going to show you beauty with the love
And
that you have used to transform it.
and if you want to get into this, my best advice to start, go get a really easy plant not to kill is a snake plant. A
Yes.
mother-in-law's tongue. Some people call that, here in Indiana, we call it a snake plant. And
Yes.
they're really hard to kill. So don't, it's okay if you're like, I don't have a green thumb. It's okay. They're really good. But I had a
Yeah.
snake plant, and when I started my journey, I got this plant and it didn't grow. It didn't have a baby for almost a year. Well, then when I created my program and started it was when I got my first sprout.
Mm,
My plant that I feel like represented my growth grew with me.
amazing.
So if
Wow.
you are into that kind of, plants or something like that, that's a good way to nurture yourself. And it
Yeah,
also, they're just good for you.
it's
So
amazing.
that's a big thing, is don't be scared to be weird. If you're out in your garden talking to your green bean plants like me, just talk to them, tell them they're great, because they give me like so many green beans. And I think it's because I'm out there like, you guys are so cute and this is so awesome. Thank you so much.
I
And
love that.
you just speak love into everything and you'll get love
Mm,
back.
yes, yes. And that's what abundance is, really. Like your abundance of your love is transforming into abundance of what it's trying to show you love, right? You're giving and you're receiving. It's like we're all one. It's amazing. So, do you have any more on your beautiful list?
Oh, it was to be intentional, because energy flows where focus goes. But we've honestly, both of us have been, that's been a thing for both of us, right? Is to be
Yeah.
intentional. So I
Yeah.
think that that is one of the biggest things with all of this is just be intentional, but also know that we're working with an intelligent energy that's way smarter than we are.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you don't do that for a day. You're not messing up. You're not a bad person. You're
Yeah.
not, off your path because you forget to set your intention. It's not that deep. Just
Yeah.
try.
Exactly. And it's okay to have down days or a day that you do nothing and you take off just for you and self-healing. And that might be, watching Netflix, that might be going into a forest and just going for a walk. Like whatever fills up your cup is what you need to do at that moment. So, know that there's no right or wrong, good or bad, but if it gives you peace and happiness, even for just a moment, that's the right thing that you need to do. So that's your North Star just guiding you to do that at that moment.
So those are really my tips, and I hope that this gives somebody a pinch of goodness.
Absolutely. So, Lacy, thank you so much. Now, if somebody did want to get in touch with you, so you are a divine healer, you are a divine channel, you are a Reiki master in various different forms and energies. So, if somebody wanted to tap into your energy and learn from you as a student to receive your healing or any programs you offer, what does that look like and how can they get in contact with you?
So I have a couple different ways. I love if you're local and I guess you can drive, but I do offer in-person classes with who I call Reiki Mom and Dad, Larry and Sherry Worley, um, and sometimes with Anita Bush, who does Body Code. I do in-person Reiki, but and we have created our own curriculum. We have worked on for a full year on putting all of our expertise together and making a curriculum. So I am blessed to teach with people who have been teaching for 50 years together. I
Amazing.
feel like I just get to learn so much and I love to learn from them. So that's an option for in person. There's more than just me. And I think that energy is something that you should learn from as many people that you resonate with as you can and take what makes sense and then you can leave the rest if it doesn't, right?
Mhm.
So that is one of the ways. The second is my program Healing with Lacy, and that is where you learn my healing and how I've went through. This is the program that I channeled with God when it was me and him for that 9 months. This is what he taught me to do. So that's just I'm turning around and teaching what he taught me to do. Um,
Amazing.
I've had a lot of people go through that program and have a lot of success. I have a lot of client testimonials. If anybody just is interested, you can find me on Facebook, Lacy Gress, or my Facebook group is Healing with Lacy, or you are welcome to reach out, give me a call. I will put my number on the screen.
That's perfect. Yeah. So why don't we get your contact information, and that'll be available at the end of the show notes. And if anybody is interested in connecting with you, they can do that. Do you also provide remote healing for people who are not in your specific area?
Oh yeah, I do lots of distance Reiki. I do in person and distance. Right now I'm focused on distance because most of my clients are becoming from different states and countries. I've kind of I've done it in my hometown now since 2019 and I'm
Mhm.
that many years into it and I'm starting to really expand outside of the tri-state area is what I will say. And
One thing, sorry to interrupt you. One thing I wanted to say, just as a person who's received your healing, Lacy is magnificent. She has this third eye that's opened in the energetic realm. So, those who've worked with me know that I channel information from divinity. And I don't necessarily see anything, but Lacy has this vision where she taps into your energy and she can see through the veil and she can see divinity. She sees angels. She sees energy flowing. She sees energy stuck in different colors. And it really is incredible. And she'll communicate that too. So she'll talk to you and how to bust through that. She'll cut cords. And it's really, really very powerful, magnificent. My only wish is I recorded it because you gave so much information. I'm like, what'd she say? But it was so life changing. So, for anybody who is interested in this healing path to learn, to receive, to become a teacher of it, whatever pathway that you're feeling that you're leaning into at this moment, I welcome you to connect with her. She's a gem, and I will include all of her contact information, including that mantra that I know for myself I'm going to print and start to say as part of my morning routine. So thank you.
And if you don't want me to talk during your healing, I don't have to. Like that's
That's
what I tell everybody at the beginning, because I'm Wendy. I'm like Wendy the healer. I'm just like da-da-da-da-da-da. And once I get started, it's just like,
Yeah, you open the flow. I've said that too to clients. Nobody's ever said no. I think that's even a deeper layer of healing when you can hear what needs to be said over you because you're already feeling it and now you have an understanding. It's like a token of wisdom that just propels and intensifies this whole experience. So the more you can release like this, the better you feel. And now you have knowledge to help you in the future too.
yes. And we
So
can, like Steph said, we can record so you can take it with you.
perfect.
That's not a big deal. We just didn't that day. It was
We just didn't. It was just through Facebook and Messenger for fun.
we got it done.
We got it done. But anyways, Lacy, thank you so much with all of my heart for opening your life to us, to sharing your healing practices of how we can self-heal. And I just wish you so much love and continued success on this journey because I know that you are impacting so many lives. So thank you for being such a light in this world.
Well, thank you, Steph, for being my soul sister. I love you so much. And thank you for helping me shine my light in the times where I couldn't even see it myself.
Thank you. Well, all my love to you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. From my heart to yours, namaste. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you are ready to heal your deepest wounds and manifest your greatest life, I welcome you to explore the blueprint to your $1 million life, a divinely channeled program that is creating miracles for people all over the world. Visit www.stephmahony.com.